Hello, welcome to Short Circuit FX. Today we're going to cover the World Machine User Interface, or UI for short. As you can see, on the topmost of the UI you've got the drop-down menus. A lot of these are the same commands as you would find under these tabs here. World Machine considers each one of these buttons, if you will, a device. So if I was to click, say, Basic Nose under the Generator tab, drop that down, and then right click to get rid of the selection, you'll notice that the basic noise thing here is called a device. So we'll refer to each one of these as a device from now on. So if you go to the Output tab and you just drop down one of these, you've got an overlay, view device, and a basic noise device. You can see that on the left side, somewhat of an outline view of everything in your project. Currently there's the basic noise and the overlay view. You'll notice that each one of them has a color next to them, a yellow and a red in this case, and basically that means that you need to build these or process them in order to view them correctly. So we'll cover that in a later lesson. Moving forward, you've got your thumbnail view up here. You can left click and move your light around in your terrain, or right click to spin your terrain around. You can also set different colors, like flat color and shaded, and say for example desert water under the set terrain color button. Underneath that you've got the 3D or 2D view. You've got a reset, which brings you back to your default, and a fit to window. Toggle main view is essentially toggles as your device view and your layout view. You can also access these with shortcuts, your F keys, F5, F6, etc. This is all pretty self-explanatory. Next thing is the water level, and you can see here the water level is not currently showing unless you click it. You can see it's highlighted now. We can raise and lower the water level, and that will have impacts on these devices moving forward. You've got other things like lock preview and sort by, and these are just basically tools to help you sort your outliner. So moving forward, you'll notice that you've got a bunch of different tabs, each containing devices, favorites containing some favorite devices, I guess, and blueprints, which are kind of like preset templates, and you've got macros, which are additional tools and plugins that have been either written by someone else or yourself, or they come in with World Machine as a package. Generators, which essentially begin your creation of your environment. Your output, which views the final output and allows you to output things like bitmaps, height maps, textures, geometry, and other things. You've got combiners, which are essentially kind of like your pre-multiplication devices. So you've got A over B and multiply and overlay, similar to Photoshop. Filters, which allow you to modify your geometry or terrain, I should say. Natural is essentially your erosion, which is a natural effect that happens in nature. Selector is essentially you being able to select areas of your terrain and then modify them. Converter, in a similar way, allows you to take parts of your terrain and export them as a light map or a normal map and RGB map and stuff like that. Parameters are like high-level functions that you can use, mathematical functions and distortions, if you will, to distort your terrain, which helps give it a natural look. Curves are essentially mathematical curve functions, and then the flow control is similar, and most of these are used in macros. So you'll see at the top here you've got a bunch of icons, and again they're also in your menus. We'll cover them extensively in the course to come, but for now you've got open, save, and export. You can export terrain just as one piece of terrain, or you can export it as a tile. We'll talk about that later. Obviously if you have tiles you've got more resolution in your terrain. The only problem with tiling is that you may not get it to match up correctly because tiling needs to be done in a specific way. And then you've got your world extents and resolution here. You've got your preferences. These allow you to set your preferences of your overall terrain and resolution, as well giving you options with the tiling, naming, and other terrain building options in here. You've got a randomize button. That in itself is essentially a random, completely random effect that happens to all of your devices. It's like the dice are rolled and you get a random effect. I'm not sure, never used it. Moving forward, you've got device view, which is what you see here. There's your devices, and then you've got your layout view, which is kind of like an overview, and then you've got your explorer view, which is kind of like a world view. And again, I'm using the left mouse button and the right mouse button to move around. And then you've got the one I use the most, the 3D view, and you can left click and right click as well here. Except there's other commands here that I will cover later. Your essential 2D view to view your textures and height maps. Then you've got your build buttons. We'll cover those later. Thanks.